Hey guys, how are you all doing? It's Cam back at you again. So many of you asked me about how to get better vibrato, so in this video I thought I'd give you some tips to show you how. First order of business is to consider using a lighter string gauge. I use Elixir Optiweb 9-42s, a classic gauge for a lot of people, and what's great with Elixir strings is they last a really long time. And the reason why I use 9s is simply because, one, they feel great, but also a lot of my influencers use those. So if you're talking Steve Vai, Satriani, Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, all use 9s. Consider that. Second tip would be to consider calculating how far you're bending to. Let me show you what I mean. Now when I say calculating how far you should be bending to, most rock players are bending up a whole tone and then relaxing in their vibrato. If you slow it down, it sounds like this. It sounds a bit drunk when you hear it like that, but when you pick a tempo that's a little bit quicker, it sounds really controlled and really gives a great flourish to the end of your licks. Doesn't matter who you are, you sound really confident when you do that, whether you're playing fast or slow. One other thing to consider as well is whenever you're bending anything, you should make sure you're using more than one finger and using the rotation of your hand. And not only that, make sure if you're using your index finger or any finger really for that matter to do any bending like this, make sure your thumb is on the top of the neck and you're rotating your hand. It makes you sound really in control and dead consistent. Now to change things up a little bit, I'm going to show you some licks from one of my favorite solos which has got really wide vibrato from Zakk Wylde. If you've ever heard the solo to Mr. Tinker Train off the No More Tears album, in order to play that correctly, you need to have your vibrato game on point. So I thought I'd show you some essential licks from that solo that really get it rolling. Now off the top of my head, the Tinker Train solo goes like this. Now the first lick of this solo I want to tell you guys about is the very first bit actually. Cool. Now this part is on the 15th fret of the B string and the vibrato is absolutely insane. What he's doing is instead of bending up a whole tone like I mentioned before, he's going a bit further than that. He's going 2 whole tones. So he's bending up to an F sharp from a D. Perfect third. And in order to get control of this, you have to first manage that whole step bend, or excuse me, 2 whole step bend. And by doing that, you have to remember what pitch you're bending to, so it might be a case of going and getting a good feel of where that is. Also, another thing this requires you to do, and no one really talks about this, is you've got to really dig your fingers into the fretboard, press down a little bit. The last thing you want is this. And then letting go of it. So really consider that, and it's basically going up and down really quite as wild as you can get really. And you can get a really great tone there. And although I sound nothing like Zakk, my fingers sound different, you can get really close and in the ballpark with that for any rock solo you can almost imagine. Anything out of the 80s and you're sorted with something like this. Another lick I want to show you is this one. This kind of idea, alright? And what he's doing is he's bending up 10 on the B this time. He's going up a whole tone. Letting it down halfway, but also that gives you a span where you can do bending and vibrato at the same time. Seems pretty basic, but it's actually a lot harder than you think. You have to be able to control that bend as it gets up there. And the more you do it, the more you keep at it, it will happen, I promise. Again, really digging into the fretboard there, so you've got really good purchase on the string there, and I'm using more than one finger. The next lick, actually, I wanted to talk about, in fact, is where you're doing double string vibrato. Get ready? And you're jumping from C sharp minor pentatonic up to E flat minor pentatonic. So you've got the... So I'm fretting the G and B string, 9th fret. Sounds like Slash when you do it slow, but the idea is that you're bending it and twisting away. You're using more of the flats of your fingers and you're turning your hand and keeping a hold of the strings so you can move the two of them as a unit, okay? And that's the effect you should get. And if you speed it up, try and match the sort of tempo you'd do on a single string. And then he does exactly the same thing, just 3 frets higher. Little hint there. He actually overbends. If you go back to the original recording, instead of doing a whole tone there, he actually goes even further. 3 semitones to be precise. But translate those ideas into your own playing. I can't stress that enough. It gives your licks so much more fire and spice, you know? So for example, if you wanted to do, I don't know, just something Gary Moore-ish, for example. It's such a helpful thing to have, and that's what I wanted to convey in this lesson today. Some little pointers on how to improve your rock vibrato and get you moving. Thanks very much for watching this video, you guys. I hope you've liked what you've seen. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you'd like some more tips and tricks, please suggest them in the comments, and I'll look forward to reading them. In the meantime, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.